I've never named a doctor before, but Dr. Selkie really blew me away here. I'm gonna give her a call tomorrow.
And kudos to you for sharing all this information publicly, because it needs to be talked about. This shit happens so much more than people realize, and it's because they haven't listened to the people that are experiencing it, especially Black and brown assigned female at birth folks. Anyone disabled. Anyway, the reason I'm stitching you is because it perfectly illustrates exactly what I'm always talking about in regards to the way humans act as media in a society building process. Because of how inequitable this country in particular has been, but of course really all over the world in its own unique way, we know that the only people that have been allowed to be authorities are, historically speaking, but really even now, people that are the Enlightenment subjects. They're non-disabled white dudes that literally just don't know goddamn thing about anyone else's lived experience, and they treated it as if they do. They claimed that their perspective was universal and objective, and it never has been. So what does this have to do with your experience? You might be thinking, well, these logics and practices are built in to the structure as features. And in a neoliberal late-stage capitalist structure specifically, where it's more quote-unquote diverse, although of course as we've seen lately with them destroying affirmative action, they're doing everything they can to even stop that. It basically filters through what seems to be diverse and equitable and inclusive rhetoric, and then does nothing to actually reckon with the deep-seated historical and deliberate disenfranchisement of the most of us. Which is to say, that doctor is as trained in horrific colonial capitalist logics as anyone else. Turns out, just because you are on the surface some form of disenfranchised group doesn't mean you aren't harboring internalized forms of discrimination. And this happens all the fucking time in science and in medicine especially. The authority gap exists for a reason. Disproportionately Black and brown and indigenous people's voices are not considered legitimate across the board at the medical offices for a reason. But it happens to basically everyone gender marginalized as well. So anyway, we all deserve better, and fuck that shit. I hope you get your justice.